Hi everyone, welcome to the July 3rd edition of the Weekly Watchlist, where I waste my time watching everything new on streaming so you don't have to. First, I'm going to quickly tell you about some recent releases that you may want to check out. Then we're going to dive a little deeper into this week's new releases. Finally, we'll finish up talking briefly about a few things coming out next week, and an older movie and a current show that I stumbled across and found fascinating. But first, I'm trying to grow the channel and would really appreciate your support. So if you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. If you like this video, then please click like and share it with somebody else who you think might like it. If you want to ask a question in our next mailbag show, then type the word mailbag before your question in the comments below. Our current subscriber goal is to reach 100 by the end of the month, so if you're already subscribed, would you please consider sharing this channel with someone else who you think might like it? Okay, let's get started. One recent release that I can't unfortunately recommend is Avatar 3 on Disney, and if you want to know why, you can watch my review of it linked in the description below. A series that I can highly recommend is Cape Fear on Apple. I'm going to be doing a full breakdown of the whole season after it finales on July 31st, so if you want to see that, turn your notifications on. Currently, the number 5 show on Amazon is Spider Noir, and their number 1 movie is Sheep Detectives. I really enjoyed both of them, and I have reviews for both linked in the description below. The number 1 movie on Peacock right now is a thriller called Strung, which actually looks pretty good, but I haven't seen it yet. But if you have, let me know if it's worth watching. The number 2 and 3 movies on Netflix are Little Brother and Maternal Instinct, 2 very different films, but I recommend both of them. I have a review of Little Brother and a podcast episode about Maternal Instincts linked in the description. On HBO Max, there's a documentary I'm excited about called Why We Dream. It follows some of the last living World War II veterans who returned to Normandy for the 80th anniversary of D-Day. HBO's current number 1 movie is called Undertone. It's a creepy looking horror film about a paranormal podcaster. It looks a little too scary for me, but if you've seen it, I'm really curious to hear your thoughts. Finally, the number 1 and 2 shows on HBO are House of the Dragon Season 3 and a historical comedy starring Larry David called Life, Larry, and the Pursuit of Unhappiness. It looks hilarious, and really, who doesn't love Larry David? I'm reviewing every episode every week of House of the Dragon Season 3, and you can find those in the description below. For the new releases that just dropped, also on HBO, is another documentary about an unusual topic. It's called Bang My Box, the Robin Bird Story. Robin Bird was the first woman to bring adult entertainment to television, and she ultimately became a prominent gay rights activist. It definitely looks interesting and entertaining. On Netflix, an interactive horror game called Unhinged just came out. It looks really fun and scary, and my wife and I are planning on playing it this weekend. We're probably going to live stream it, so if you want to watch us make fools of ourselves and probably me piss myself, then follow me on social media so you know when I go live. Also on Netflix, a true crime documentary series about some truly terrible neighbors just premiered on the 1st. It's aptly called Worst Neighbor Ever. Again on Netflix and again on the 1st, Enola Holmes 3, starring Millie Bobby Brown, Henry Cavill, and Helena Bonham Carter, debuted. This is now the 3rd time Brown has played Sherlock Holmes' sister, and I'd like to talk a little bit more about it for a minute. Millie Bobby Brown is very good in these movies, and she's clearly having a lot of fun playing this role. She brings a lot of wit, humor, and likability to an otherwise fairly unrelatable character. But any of you who've worked as a private investigator in Victorian England, feel free to at me in the comments below. Millie matches the manic and playful tone of the movie very well. One thing I really appreciate about her is, even though she's really good looking, she doesn't seem to care how she looks. What I mean by that is she's not afraid or hesitant to make funny faces, be extremely awkward, and even play the fool if that's what the character requires in the moment. When I'm watching her in this role, I'm not watching a promising young actress do her best. I'm watching a gifted actor who seems on the cusp of greatness. We all know she's been acting a long time, since we saw her play Eleven in Stranger Things a decade ago. She was always good and earned 2 Emmy nominations as Eleven, but since then her skills have grown exponentially. It's often rare to see a child actor transition into adult actor this well, and it's even rarer to see a 22-year-old female carry the vast majority of a good franchise since she was 16. I'm talking about her so much because her performance is directly tied into the quality of the films. Her range, charisma, talent, and comfort on screen not only elevate the classic character, but also raise the quality of each film, from run-of-the-mill popcorn movies to really fun adventure mysteries. So I definitely recommend all 3 Enola Holmes films. Even though some aspects are flawed and they may not be everyone's cup of tea, I really enjoyed each of them, and I'm very impressed by the ascent of Millie Bobby Brown. In fact, I would not be surprised at all if one day she's holding an Oscar or an Emmy or both sometime within the next decade. Okay, let's go to Disney now for a movie and show that both released on the 1st. One is a docuseries called Abandoned about 3 young siblings who were abandoned at a train station in 1984 and what became of them since. It looks like it could be sad but a good watch. The show that just released is based on one of my all-time favorite cartoons from childhood. It's season 2 of X-Men 97. Which I love not only for nostalgic reasons, but also it's actually really well made, just like the original was. If you have kids around the age of 13 or older, I can't imagine them not liking it. Or if you have a husband in his early 40s who mentally isn't much older than 14, then I guarantee he'll love it. Over on Amazon, season 1 of the prequel series to Legally Blonde, simply called Elle, also premiered on the 1st. I watched the entire pilot and I liked it a lot more than I thought I would. I'm clearly not the target audience, but it was funny enough and charming enough for me to want to continue it. And trust me, if it would have been shit, I would have turned it off as soon as I caught a whiff. The writing was solid and it provided much of the humor, but it was Elle herself, played by Lexi Mindtree, who brought most of its charm. The 25-year-old actress, who I'd never really seen before, plays the 16-year-old Elle Woods and really captures the essence of the character. She has big shoes to fill since Reese Witherspoon is one of the most likable actresses ever and made Elle Woods an iconic female character of its time. But Lexi really nailed much of Reese's mannerisms. Her overall look, sound, and vibe without feeling like she was mimicking her at all. She brings her own charm and spunk to the role while feeling familiar enough to be nostalgic. I think she has the right energy and charisma to continue pulling off this role and carrying the show, which overall is really solid. It has heart, charm, some laughs, and a pretty decent production, especially considering it was set all the way back in 1995 Seattle. I think the show is more than good enough, especially if you're a fan of the original or you just like fish out of water coming-of-age high school rom-coms. For those reasons, I do recommend it as a easily digestible, turn your brain off and just be casually entertained kind of show. Plus, as a 90s kid, I liked all the nostalgia, and seeing Elle's Chihuahua Bruiser as a puppy was a cute addition. Released on the 2nd was a pretty silly-looking comedic thriller starring Denise Richards called Hunting Housewives. Again, I'm not the target audience for this, and it's not getting good reviews, so I don't have much hope that it's going to be good. But if you do end up watching it, I'm curious to hear what you think. Also released on the 2nd, but over on Disney, is a sequel to the popular horror comedy called Ready or Not 2, Here I Come. Now, this one picks up exactly where the last one left off, and there's a short list of sequels that have done that, and an even shorter list of sequels that have done that well. But you can definitely add this one to that list, because not only did I like it just as much as the first, I think I liked it a little more. It had just as much action, more comedy, and more funny gore. I'm also impressed with how the writers found a way to basically extend the plot from the first film without making it generically recycled. It felt like more of a natural evolution and a logical raising of the stakes, organically caused by the end of the first film. So I loved it. I watched it with a couple of other people who also loved it, but if you haven't seen the first one, this one's not going to make any sense. You got to watch that one first. You can find them both on Disney. Releasing today, July 3rd on HBO Max, is a reimagining of the classic horror story from the same title, The Mummy. The trailer's giving Pet Sematary vibes, except for with a young daughter instead of a house cat. It's poorly reviewed and doesn't look particularly good, so I probably won't end up watching it, but if you do, let me know what you think. Also releasing today on Apple is Season 3 of Silo, which is a popular dystopian sci-fi with a great cast. It looks really good, and I know several people who like it, so it's pretty high on my watch list to eventually watch one day. Dropping tomorrow, July 4th on Netflix, is Season 4 of Dark Winds, a procedural cop thriller set on the Navajo Reservation in the 1970s. Partially inspired by true events, this series feels as authentic as it is unique, and I highly recommend it. But I'm still on Season 2, so I have a lot of catching up to do. If you're into sports, also on the 4th, Stage 1 of the Tour de France begins on Peacock, and the NASCAR Cup Series race at Chicagoland premieres on the 5th on HBO. That concludes all of the new releases this week, but some big releases next week to look forward to are Trying Season 5 on Apple. I've never heard of this show, but apparently it's popular enough to get 5 seasons. That drops on July 8th on Apple. On the 9th, a new docuseries that takes you behind the scenes of the Burning Man Festival called The Man Will Burn debuts on HBO Max, and that is an event that I have absolutely no intention of ever attending. Also on the 9th is an original series from Peacock called 5-Star Weekend. It's about 5 female friends who rent a beach house in order to grieve the loss of a recent loved one. It doesn't seem like my kind of thing, but it does look well made, it's got a great cast, and it's giving Joy Luck Club vibes. So if you're into that sort of thing, it's probably worth checking out. Also on Peacock on the 10th is a romantic drama based on a best-selling book by the same title, Reminders of Him. Again, it's not my thing, but the trailer actually looks pretty good. I do like the premise and it's getting mixed reviews, so it might be worth checking out. Finally, also on the 10th, but on Netflix, is a documentary that I'm excited about called Shipwrecked: Nightmare at Sea. It's about a cruise ship that capsized in 2012. It has a lot of never-before-seen footage, and the story just looks too crazy to pass up. Lastly, I want to tell you about a couple of things on HBO Max right now that look kind of fascinating. The first is their number 6 trending movie. It's about a young writer who gets caught in a legendary pop star's cult, which is giving very much Eat the Rich vibes, and I'm totally here for that. It's called Opus. It looks fascinating and relevant to today's elitist cultural climate. I definitely plan on checking this out at some point. Finally, a show I had no idea that existed, but I'm so glad that I stumbled across, is called Little Singles. It's an intriguing look into the world of dating amongst little people. Now, I have to admit, dating shows are one of my guilty pleasures in life, and one set in the world of little people seems too good to pass up. However, new episodes drop every Tuesday at 3 a.m., which seems like a very odd and somewhat disrespectful time to upload anything, let alone a diverse show of underrepresented people in one of the most discriminatory genres. So don't be a dick, HBO. I'm sure these people's lives are hard enough without you burying their show at the same shameful time that my brother used to get home from the strip club. Well, that's going to do it for the July 3rd edition of Weekly Watchlist. Thank you very much for joining me. And if you like this video, please click the like button and maybe share it or the channel with someone who you think might like it. Have a great 4th of July, and I'll see you next week.